Hi everyone, welcome to the second webinar of a series of webinars conducted by TCS Online in lieu of the upcoming management case study examinations happening in May and August 2022. If you are watching this video and if you had missed out on the first video, I suggest you watch it because I'm talking about what you need to do with regards to exam preparation, because our first webinar is titled exam prep. So please do watch it. And this is the second webinar which we are conducting, where I'll be taking you through part of the pre-scene analysis or the annotated pre-scene document which we at TCS has produced. And there will be a third webinar which will be held next Sunday, which is going to be the final webinar. And in that webinar, I will be talking about answering technique, where I'll be taking you through a mini mock and the suggested answer, and I will be tutoring you with regards to how to prepare an answer plan, because it's of utmost importance that you manage your time and you structure your answer, you plan your answer appropriately before you start typing the answer in its entirety. So in order to understand these techniques with regards to time management and how to gain marks as well as structure the answer before you start typing it, I suggest you attend next week's webinar, which is happening on Sunday. Right. So having said that, let's move on with today's webinar. And as the title suggests, I'm going to carry out a pre-scene analysis tonight. And I would suggest you to go through our website. Please access the free content area, where if you click on the free content area, you have to register with our website and you can access the first video which I did yesterday. And this gives you an this first video is concerned about the introductory part of the pre-scene. So I will show you the introductory part today as well. So I'm not gonna handle the introductory part tonight because I've already done a video based on that. And as part of that video, I've done an industry analysis as well. So I suggest you go through that. And this pre-scene consists of company information. So this pre-scene analysis consists of company information pertaining to piping, which is the company based on which this time's management case study is happening. All right. So session outcomes, first things first, I'll be talking about how to apply information which comes from the pre-scene. So you need to have an understanding about how to apply knowledge which you bring in from the pre-scene. And in the second part of today's session, which is the most important part, I will be carrying out a pre-scene analysis. Okay, so pre-scene application, what is the right approach? First things first, you need to know your key information. For example, piping generates 95% of its revenue locally. Okay, and this company is involved with exports as well, and their export revenue comes up to just 5%. So likewise, knowing your key info is of utmost importance, because when you are providing answers in your real exam, you can't go back to the pre-scene. You can actually do that. You can go back to the pre-scene and refer to the relevant information, but you'd be wasting some time if you have to do that, if you have to go back and refer to the pre-scene document. So in order to avoid such a situation, what I would suggest is you need to understand and remember the key information pertaining to the company. So you might be wondering as to how you could select leave out unnecessary information and identify the most important information. Now when it comes to knowing your key info, I would suggest you go through our annotated pre-scene, because I myself and the other tutors had made annotations bringing out the key information. So if you go through our annotated pre-scene, then you would know all the key information which you'd have to remember before going into the exam. So first things first, you need to know your key information. Then you need to know you need to remember the key ratios or the numbers. So again, we've got you covered here, because we have prepared a separate set of slides pertaining to financial analysis, thereby conducting horizontal analysis based on financial statements of piping. And on top of that, we have conducted a ratio analysis based on piping as well as its closest competitors' financial statements, thereby depicting where piping stands relative to its competitor. Okay, so you need to remember certain key ratios such as the gearing ratio, because the company's gearing ratio stands at somewhere around 35%. So knowing something like that before going into the examination adds value, because when providing answers, you need not work out numbers. Just knowing the figure would help you when providing answers. So know your ratios as well. Okay, and on top of that, on top of the financial analysis slides which we had prepared, we are conducting pre-scene analysis videos, 4 pre-scene analysis videos. Out of these 4 videos, the 4th video is with regards to financial analysis, where I had elaborated in depth what is depicted within the financial statements. I've decrypted the financial statements of piping and its closest competitor. And prepare for possible scenarios, but be open-minded. So you can prepare for possible scenarios, because as you already know, the examiner is trying to figure out whether you have enough understanding about the company as well as its industry. And on top of that, the examiner tries to figure out whether you have the capability to apply theoretical knowledge gained through E2, F2 and P2 related syllabus content when providing answers in your exam. So in order to prepare yourself with this, in order to prepare yourself with application of theoretical knowledge as well as application of knowledge gained through the pre-scene, you need to do mock exams. So we are offering 5 exam standard mocks. Okay, so if you go through these 5 mock exams, you will cover all syllabus areas pertaining to E2, F2 and P2. So because of that, you need not worry too much about the real exam, because before the exam, you would have covered all theoretical content or syllabus areas. However, even if you had gone through the 5 mocks and even if you have done your part, you have to be open-minded when you are facing the exam. Why? Because no one can predict what type of questions or scenarios will be thrown at you. Why am I saying this? Because the CIMA examiner is trying to replicate a real-life corporate environment when conducting the examination. So, you are supposed to play the role of a finance manager. So as a finance manager, you would never know what type of problems your company would face and what type of emails or issues your senior finance manager will highlight, and what type of suggestions your senior finance manager would seek from you. So since you do not know as a corporate individual, since you cannot predict what is going to happen tomorrow, the same could be said about the CIMA examination. So prepare for possible scenarios, but you have to be always open-minded, especially since this is the management case study, because there's some level of a moderate level of practical thinking involved in the management level. The scenario presented in the exam consists of latest information. Yes, so as part of a pre-scene document, the examiner provides you with information about what has happened in the past within the company. So the examiner gives you an indication about what has happened within the industry. Then what has happened, if the examiner gives you an indication about the history of the company, as well as what happens within several different departments. The examiner gives you information pertaining to the financial statements. So the financial statements depict what has happened in the past 2 years. So all past information appears in the pre-scene. However, when you go to the exam, your tasks consists of latest information. So remember that. So when applying the pre-scene, as I told you earlier, you need to know your key information and remember your numbers. Then you are set to provide better answers at the MCS examination. And when providing answers, you have to always be open-minded. Right. So how are we supposed to refer to the pre-scene or refer or bring in pre-scene information and inculcate it in your answers? You are supposed to refer or cite in a way that it adds value to the point you are presenting in the answer. Yes. So just because you are supposed to bring in information from the pre-scene, it does not mean that you can provide generic answer. You can, bring in generic points or general points from the pre-scene. What you need to do is you need to always see before bringing in information from the pre-scene whether it's relevant to the task at hand, whether it actually adds value to the task at hand. If you see that if you see that by bringing in a certain point from the pre-scene it does not add value, or it is not too relevant to the requirement of the task, then there's absolutely no point of mentioning about it. So please be mindful about that. When bringing in information from the pre-scene, it needs to be relevant to the task at hand, relevant to the scenario presented in the question. Do not try too hard to show the marker that you have studied the pre-scene, because absolutely no point of doing that if it's not too relevant to the task at hand or the scenario presented in the examination. So in order to better understand how to bring in pre-scene information in your answers, I would suggest you to attend the third webinar and the final webinar, which is happening next Sunday, Exam Technique. As I told you earlier, I will be taking you through a mini mock, and I'll be explaining about how to structureize your answers and whatnot. And once I finish that session, you would understand what type of information needs to be brought in into your answer. And but you can also learn how to do this by referring to the suggested answers of the 5 mock exams which we have prepared. Okay, right. So another area which I want to highlight is pertaining to the study plan for E2, F2, and P2. I said that you need to bring in theoretical knowledge which you have gained via E2, F2, and P2 related syllabus content. So you are supposed to be prepared for application of theories and concepts. You have to definitely apply theories and concepts. And you are supposed to be prepared for interpretation of figures and numbers. Why? Because in your examination, you are not supposed to do any calculations, major calculations. All the calculations or facts and figures will be provided as part of your question, as part of reference material usually. So as a finance manager, your role is not to do calculations, but to interpret these numbers. So when interpreting these numbers, you need to have a good understanding about P2 related syllabus areas as well as F2 related syllabus areas. Okay, so be prepared for that. Do not skip any topic when studying, because I've heard certain tutors are telling students to skip certain areas. I'm not recommending it too much, because according to the examiner's report, which is published after every case study, the examiner highlights that students need to know all syllabus content pertaining to E2, F2, and P2 areas, because any area can be tested. Okay, so please be mindful about that. Don't skip any topics, and do not rely on predictions, as any area can be examined. Yes, I've seen another set of tutors, providing predictions about the type of questions which might appear in the exam. The examiner asks you not to do it. So, I'm not recommending you guys to adhere to such a process, because any area can be tested. Right. So before we move on to the pre-scene analysis, let me quickly tell you about what we offer. So we offer two packages, the essential pack and the value pack. If you purchase the essential pack, you would have access to 4 pre-scene analysis videos. Video number 1 is about an industry analysis, and you can access the first video free of charge through your free content tab. So please use that opportunity. The second video consists, second and the third videos are with regards to company operations, and the fourth video covers a financial analysis. So if you go through these 4 videos, you would know everything about the pre-scene. And on top of that, we are providing an annotated pre-scene as well. And today's session is going to be conducted based on this annotated pre-scene. So you'd get to know what this document is about and how valuable it is to you. And we have conducted a separate industry analysis as well. So in this, we are not talking about the information provided in your pre-scene, but we have taken real life facts and figures from the industry, and we are talking about similar companies which carry out operations akin to piping and its closest competitor. Okay, so that's about the industry analysis. And the most important product which you are offering is the 5 exam standard mock exams and suggested answers. And as I told you earlier, these 5 mock exams cover all syllabus content pertaining to E2, P2, and F2 areas. Then we have a separate set of slides for financial analysis, and top 10 likely issues or scenarios which can be tested. Some suggestions are provided here. And if you are coming through the gateway route or the exemption route, you'd find the MCS familiarization kit to be of utmost benefit to you, because you need to know how the exam is structured and whatnot. And you would have access to the WhatsApp discussion forum, where you can share your thoughts, ideas with each other, with your colleagues. And on top of that, you have access to tutors, because myself and the other 2 tutors are part and parcel of this WhatsApp discussion forum. So you can directly contact our tutors and get their opinions, suggestions, and whatnot. And the essential pack comes with a pass guarantee. If by any chance you fail the examination after using our resources, which is highly unlikely, however, if you fail, you will have access to the content of the subsequent session free of charge. So all this comes at a price of £99. And the value pack has everything which I mentioned about pertaining to the essential pack. On addition to the essential pack, you would have access to an online mock exam platform where you can attempt all 5 of your mocks on this mock exam platform. And we had created this exam platform to be akin to the Pearson BUE system used by CIMA. Why have we come up with our own mock exam platform? So that students can practice within it and accustom themselves to real exam conditions. Okay, so that's that. And we are offering professional marking and feedback on 3 of the mocks 3, 4, and 5. And I will be providing, I myself and one of the other tutors will be providing feedback, personalized feedback, so that you can improve. Especially if you are coming through the gateway route, I would suggest that you go for the value pack, because you need personalized guidance to get through the exam. And there are theory recaps for E2, F2, and P2 areas again if you are coming through the gateway route, I would suggest that you go for the value pack, because you need to know your theories pertaining to E2, F2 and P2 related areas as suggested by the examiner. So the investment is £199. All right. So having said all that, let me move on to the pre-scene analysis. All right. So this is the annotated pre-scene what I was talking about, and today's session is our pre-scene analysis session is going to be based on the annotated pre-scene. So as I told you earlier, the industry analysis, the first part has already been done and it's in your free content area. So please go check it out. And this is the second area. This video covers the second area, where I'll be talking about piping's history and the type of products sold by the company. Piping was founded in 1852. So we had been operating for the past 170 years. So our brand had been known within the country for a long time period. So because of that, it's a considerable strength which we have. We can drive our competitive advantage based on our brand, since the company was founded in 1852. And tea drinking has been part of Northlandia's culture for many years, and it remains popular. Yes, so tea drinking is part and parcel of Northland's culture. So that can be considered as an opportunity which we can exploit. So since 1852, we might have been exploiting this opportunity. So in the future as well, since Northlandians are close to the tea culture, or because there's a strong tea culture within the country, definitely we can benefit from it as a tea manufacturing company. The company was listed on the Northlandian Stock Exchange in 1974. So for the past 48 years, we had been trading within the stock exchange of Northlandia, which is actually beneficial for any company, because this can be considered as a strength again, because since we had been part and parcel of the stock exchange for the past 48 years, it shows that we are a stable company and everybody probably knows about us. Okay, so that's that. Then moving on. Okay, technical difficulties. Right. Okay. So piping has grown steadily, focusing exclusively on black tea, and has been Northlandia's leading tea manufacturer for many years. Okay. So we are focusing exclusively on black tea. So we are, when we are selling, there are different types of tea. The two main types of tea are black tea and green tea. So out of these two, we are focusing primarily on black tea. So please remember that. And we have been Northlandia's leading tea manufacturer for many years. So we are the leader in the market. Piping is the leader in the market, which is a considerable strength, which we can use to generate more sales or additional revenues in the future. So since we are exclusively focusing on black tea, a possible exam scenario is highlighted here with regards to new product development. So piping, there could be a scenario where piping introduces green tea under its portfolio, because there's a high popularity of green tea among consumers, especially the younger consumers. It is possible that piping enters this market segment. Yes, so as the market leader, although we are focused on selling black tea at the moment, we can probably successfully diversify our portfolio towards green tea as well. So that's a possible exam scenario. And piping now produces several varieties of tea, including two of the most popular teas in the country. So we are selling a variety of teas, and our teas are extremely popular within Northlandia. And out of the portfolio of teas which we are selling, two are the most successful, which are piping tea, which comes in tea bags, as well as loose tea, and piping strong flavor, which comes only in tea bags. Okay, So please remember that these are the two main product categories. Piping was the first company to manufacture tea bags in Northland India. So we were the first to adopt technology so that we can manufacture tea bags within the country. So it shows that we had adopted innovation from the inception, and it has created a number of innovative designs of tea bags. So we have been consistently churning out innovative tea bags, and each design change is claimed to improve the flavor of the tea. So why did we keep on changing the design of the tea bag with the intention of improving the flavor of the tea? So there is an extreme level of customer focus within piping. We are trying to satisfy our customers as much as possible. That's why we had adopted innovation, and on top of that, we constantly strive to keep on innovating in the way in which we fulfill our customer needs. The company has been innovative constantly, and they are constantly looking for improvements, which is a strength. Northlandians prefer tea bags to loose tea. So that's another point which you need to remember. So there are two main types of tea. I said that it's black tea and green tea. And when it comes to consumption of tea, some consumers are into loose tea and some consumers are into tea bags, and Northlandians prefer tea bags to loose tea. Now, if you look at real industry dynamics, Asians prefer loose tea and Europeans prefer tea bags. Okay, so since Northlandia is a European country, you can see the same preference here. Northlandians prefer tea bags to loose tea. Piping manufactures 360 million tea bags every week. The company also sells loose tea in packs to cater for the demand for the minority of consumers. So as you can see, majority of our consumers are using tea bags. The others are using loose tea, and we are fulfilling their demands as well. Piping teas are regarded as premium products. Another point which you need to remember, our products are considered to be premium, that are slightly more expensive than competing brands. Okay, so premium product, if our product's quality is premium, then the price needs to be premium, or price needs to be higher relative to competitors as well. The company buys good quality tea leaves. It spends heavily on advertising in order to promote brand awareness. Piping's packaging is both visually appealing and is designed to keep the contents fresh. So we are hell-bent on using high quality tea leaves. We are spending a lot of money on advertising so that we can maintain our brand awareness. And when carrying out packaging, we do it in a visually appealing way, as well as we design packaging in order to keep the contents fresh. So what we can see is that the company is hell-bent on achieving quality at all times. That's why we are known as a premium brand. That's why we can charge a slightly higher price compared to competitors, because we are extremely focused on quality. So based on all this information, I've mentioned about the type of product which we are selling. We are selling premium quality. We are selling a premium quality product, and quality tea leaves are used. When it comes to pricing, since we are selling a premium quality product, the pricing is premium as well. When it comes to packaging, we are using attractive designs, and we are focused on preserving the contents, the freshness of the contents. And promotion, we spend money on, we spend a lot of money so that we carry out heavy advertising. So all in all these things are interlinked to each other. These are in line with the premium quality as well as the premium brand we maintain within the industry. Piping tea is popular because it matches the preferences of Northlandian consumers. So that's another strength which has been highlighted. So it appears that we know our customers. We understand our customers. That's exactly why Northlandians prefer to purchase our tea. And Northlandians generally like a strong flavor. So please remember that as well. Our consumers like strong tea. Most of the company's output is sold through retailers in Northern India, although it exports tea to countries that share a preference for strong tea. Yes, so we are involved with international operations as well as local operations. When we look at our sales figures, locally we are generating 95% of our revenue, and by exporting we are generating 5% of our revenue. Okay, and always remember, as a tea manufacturer, we are involved with a B2B business, business to business transaction, where we sell our products to retailers. You'd get a better understanding about these nitty-gritties by watching video number 1, which is part and parcel of the free content on our website. So please go through video number 1. And exports are also driven by demand from North Indian expatriates who settle abroad. So, North Indians who settle abroad, since they love our tea, they keep consuming our tea. So we are exporting our tea to them. So that's another opportunity which we can further exploit in the future. So that's about, the company history. Let's move on to company operations. Let's try to figure out what happens within the company at the moment. Piping has a factory in Central City in North India. So we have our own factory where it employs 700 staff members. So we have a considerable amount of staff members working within our manufacturing process or within our factory. A further 200 staff are involved in buying, marketing, and administration. So these 200 individuals who are involved with procurement, marketing, and administration can be considered as back office employees. Okay, and these back office employees are based at a head office, which is in close vicinity to the factory. Okay, so all in all, we have 900 staff members. So managing 900 staff members is not easy. And because of that, definitely E2 related areas can be tested in your exam. So the examiner might test your knowledge pertaining to managing people, how to achieve or how to maintain motivation levels, how to carry out performance appraisals, how to fulfill health and safety requirements, as well as how to conduct disciplinary action. So all these type of things can be tested in your exam. Black tea is purchased at auctions held in the various tea producing countries. So we are actually importing the raw material, which is the tea leaf. Processed tea leaves we are importing from tea producing countries. I've mentioned about this in depth in video number 1. So again, I'm highlighting the fact that you need to go through video number 1 to understand the industry dynamics. So a typical tea manufacturer, when purchasing tea or the raw material, you can't purchase directly from a factory. Instead, you need to purchase your tea from a auction house. That's how it works all across the world. So you mentioned about how these auctions work in video number 1. So please go through that. Piping has a sophisticated digital buying system. Okay, so we are using a digital purchasing system or a digital procurement system, or in other terms, we are using a system such as SAP or SAP provided by Cisco, or in general terms, you can say, you can call this system an ERP system, enterprise resource planning system. So we are using a digital buying system that predicts the company's requirements for tea. So our raw material requirements, our demand for our product, as well as the raw material supplies, all these information can be input into our digital buying system, so that the system itself predicts what our raw material requirements are going to be. Okay, why do we need to predict our raw material requirements? Because later on in the pre-scene, it says that we spend most of our manufacturing costs are with regards to our raw material. So it's of utmost importance that you manage your raw materials appropriately as a company in order to keep tabs on your cost or to achieve cost efficiencies. So the system helps us predict the company's requirement for tea, and matches those requirements to the timing of scheduled tea auctions. So from where are we purchasing tea? From tea auctions in most underdeveloped countries. So they are the suppliers. These tea plantations in underdeveloped countries are supplying us. The demand is created in Northland India. So the system helps us keep track of demand as well as supply, because based on demand and supply, the tea prices or the raw material prices are always fluctuating. I highlighted this point in video number 1, so I suggest you go through that again. Okay, so that's that. So that's a strength. That it's good that we are using this digital purchasing system or buying system. Inventories of tea can then be managed efficiently, minimizing holding costs and wastage. So because of us using this system, we are in a position to manage our inventories efficiently. We are in a position to minimize holding costs as well as wastage. Okay, the price of black tea varies. So I highlighted this point a while back. The price of black tea varies according to demand and supply. So when demand and supply fluctuates, the price keeps changing, and it is always the single most expensive component of piping's costs, typically exceeding 40% of total manufacturing cost. Yes. So out of our total manufacturing cost, 40% is with regards to us procuring tea leaves. So that's a significant, component of piping's cost. So because of that, we have to manage it efficiently. If not, we won't be competitive in the market. So that's exactly why I said that using a digital buying system, which helps us to predict the demand and match it with supply and determine prices. So that's good for cost control within the organization. So increase in black tea prices would have considerable impacts on the gross profit margins. Yes. So if our price of black tea increases, then our gross profit margins will decrease. Okay. The company has 6 blenders who have a tasting lab beside the factory. Yes, so we employ within our factory or operations function, we employ 6 tea tasters or tea blenders. So these guys are involved with blending different types of variants of tea to make sure that a certain tea range maintains the same taste. If not, the customers will stop purchasing from us. Okay, so the blenders have the skill to taste each batch and to adjust for slight differences in flavor, color, and aroma by altering the proportions of teas from different countries and different plantations. So these guys are playing a major role. The taste of our tea depends on the ability of these 6 blenders, because these are the guys who would blend different types of teas and come up with a product which has the same taste or a unique taste, irrespective of the batches which we are producing. Okay, so blenders are important stakeholders within our company. I've highlighted about the role of blenders in video number 1, so please go through it. The tea blenders are key members of the production department. Retention of these staff members is vital, as their experience is invaluable in ensuring the taste of piping's different tea brands remain constant. So the taste of each of our products, the taste needs to remain constant. And how can we achieve it? By employing appropriately skilled blenders, and after you employ them, you have to make sure that you retain them within the business for a long time period. So please be mindful about that. Right, so let's try to figure out the type of products which we are, or what type of operations which happens within the organization. Black tea leaves are packed in large paper sacks at the plantation. I will talk about paper sack manufacturing later on. So we purchase black tea in bulk from plantations across the world. Then what we do is we import it into our manufacturing facility, and we hold it within large paper sacks at the plant. Large paper sacks come from the plantation, and we do the processing within our factory. Unprocessed black tea can be stored for years, although its flavor will deteriorate slightly if stored for more than a few months. Because of that, manufacturers are keen to minimize inventory holding costs by processing black tea and selling the finished product as quickly as possible. So in order to maintain the freshness of the produce and in order to reduce the holding cost, tea manufacturers are trying to sell their black tea leaves or their inventories as soon as possible. So inventory turnover days can be considered as a KPI, which helps us determine the operational efficiency. So be prepared. So if the examiner is asking for a KPI to determine the level of operational efficiency within piping, then you can suggest inventory turnover days, because that's a major area which every tea manufacturer tries to get right. Uh, when they are required for production, the paper sacks are transported mechanically and emptied into massive metal drums. So we are talking about paper sack production. You need not remember these nitty-gritties too much because it's highly technical information. The drums rotate slowly until the leaves from each batch have been mixed evenly. A sample is tasted by the factory's quality control technicians to confirm that the mixture is up to standard. Yes, if the mixture is not up to standard, we have to further blend. So, or further process or reprocess. So we are using internal, you can see an internal appraisal cost, because costs of quality are tested in the management level. So we are using quality control or quality checkers as a means of maintaining our quality. If the blended tea leaves are to be sold as loose tea, then they are loaded onto production lines that weigh out the correct amount of each pack of tea. The tea leaves are then dropped onto sheets of foil that are cut, folded, and sealed using heat to create packets of tea. Sorry. So when we are dealing with loose tea, this is the packaging process which we adhere to. So all in all, we can see that, when dealing with loose tea, we are using a machine intensive manufacturing process. So earlier I said that there are 700 employees within our factory. And in here, the examiner is saying that almost all the processes are mechanized. So what are these 700 employees up to? These guys are running a supervisory role. They are not involved with manual labor, because everything is automated. However, these 700 employees are involved with supervising the entire manufacturing process to figure out whether there are any efficiencies and whatnot. So I'll be talking about these things later on, under the pre-scene analysis videos. The process for making tea bags is very similar. Now we are gonna go through tea bag manufacturing, go through the tea bag manufacturing process. The process for making tea bags is very similar. The loose leaves required for each tea bag are placed on a strip of paper. A second strip of paper goes on top, and the two strips are fused together to form the tea bag. Few strips are then cut to separate the individual tea bag. More expensive brands of tea bags, including pipings, because we are a premium brand, we attach a tag to it so that the consumers will find it easier to use our tea bags. So we are offering convenience to our customers as a premium brand. Tea bags can also be packed in a paper envelope to maintain freshness and to permit branding to be printed on each tea bag. So that's pretty basic. There are two separate production lines for loose tea and tea bags. So please remember that. That's an important fact which you need to remember. We have two production lines. Why? Because we are selling loose tea as well as tea bags. I highlighted that point earlier. Two of our major products. One of the major products is black tea. We are selling black tea to a majority of our customers, and out of that, some of our customers consume black tea via tea bags, and the others depend on loose tea. So because of that, we have separate production lines. And when it comes to processing loose tea and tea bags, the technical nitty-gritties are different. The technicalities or the processing is different. And I've highlighted these points in video number 1 under the industry analysis. So because the processing is different, because the technicalities are different, we have to run 2 separate production lines. So be prepared to discuss about or to see a question pertaining to product costing, especially with regards to overhead allocation, because we are using 2 different production lines. So traditional costing versus absorption, activity-based costing can be tested in your exam. All processes are highly mechanized, as I mentioned earlier. The 700 production staff are employed to monitor the operation of the machinery and carry out preventive maintenance and deal with breakdowns. So what you can see is we are spending money on preventive maintenance, or we are spending money on prevention costs, and on top of that we are dealing with internal failure costs as well, because we are dealing with breakdowns. So we are trying to prevent breakdowns, prevent inefficiencies from occurring, and on top of that, if some inefficiency materializes, we try to fix it using our 700 production staff members. So as I told you earlier, these guys are not involved directly with the production process. Instead, they are providing a support service, or they are playing a supervisory role. And when dealing with these 700 production staff members, we have to make sure that health and safety concerns within the factory or within the workplace is upheld at all times. A significant number of production staff are being employed despite a machine-intensive manufacturing process, and this is indicative of a large manufacturing facility. Right. So let's try to figure out what happens within the marketing and distribution department within piping. Piping's products are sold through most major retailers in North India. So as I told you earlier, this B2B business. The marketing and distribution department has 2 main functions. So within the marketing department, we have 2 main functions. These 2 functions are advertising and account management. So let's try to figure out what happens pertaining to advertising within the company. Piping invests heavily on advertising in order to maintain brand awareness. We have a 170-year-old brand. We have to maintain that brand awareness. So we are spending a lot of money on advertising. So that's all good. The company's brand name is one of the most recognizable in the country, but it remains important to advertise through traditional and online channels in order to prevent loss of market share. So what does this tell us? This tells us that there is strong competition within the market. If we were a company with a 170-year-old legacy, and if our brand is well known within the industry, then it's easier for us to sell our product. We need not spend too much money. However, too much money on advertising. However, we are spending a lot on advertising because there's intense competition within the industry. Please be mindful about that. Please remember that. Advertising also helps piping to develop brand loyalty from younger customers who might switch to other drinks such as coffee. So the examiner gives us a hint about substitutes within the industry. So coffee, as well as different types of fruit infused drinks and whatnot, can be considered as substitutes for our for what we to the tea which we are selling. The advertising team is part of piping's marketing and distribution department. Yes, it has a substantial budget for the development of new adverts and for broadcasting and publication. So we handle advertising in-house, it appears, according to the given information. So because of that, we are coming up with substantial budgets. We are allocating a lot of money. So exam focus: be prepared to carry out performance evaluation based on advertising staff, especially within the advertising department, and be prepared to recommend appropriate KPIs, because when allocating money for marketing, we have to make sure that the benefits far outweigh the costs. So in order to achieve that, we have to make sure that we keep tabs on the advertising department, what happens within the advertising department. So be prepared to talk about how we are supposed to carry out performance evaluation, and be prepared to recommend appropriate KPIs. Then let's move on to the second function within the marketing and distribution department, which is into account management. Piping is the largest tea manufacturer in Northland, and most food retailers wish to sell piping's products. So that's a strength as well as an opportunity. We are well known within the market, and retailers love us. Piping strives to maintain a strong relationship with major retailers by having a designated account management team in its marketing and distribution department. So this is typical of a company which is involved with B2B business. Definitely, when dealing with another business, you need to appoint account managers to maintain relationships. So that's exactly what the company is up to as at now. So that's all good. Exam focus, again, as I told, as I mentioned earlier, you need to be, you should be ready to mention how to carry out performance evaluation to evaluate performance of account managers, as well as be ready to recommend KPIs based on account managers. Let's try to figure out the nitty-gritty, so the technical details pertaining to the responsibilities of account managers. A major retail customer will be assigned an account manager who will be the designated contact between piping and the retailer's buying department. So our account manager is the link between piping and its customer, the retailer. Account managers will also seek to encourage buyers to place regular orders. So account managers try to get sales up because they are compensated based on how much of sales they make. Okay. An account manager might be authorized to offer a discount in return for an increase in retailers' regular orders. Now, this is a bit problematic. Now, account managers can offer discounts in order to get the sales quantity up. However, so if that is the case, a typical account manager might give excessive discounts with the intention of growing their sales volumes. So the account manager, by growing the sales volumes, will end up getting high commissions. However, since we are giving excessive discounts, our bottom line will be affected, or our margins will be affected in a negative manner. So I've highlighted it in here. It's better if we can come up with a policy with regards to discounts, so that we can prevent excessive offerings of discounts. So we have to make sure that all account managers are aware about our discount policy, and we have to make sure that they stick or adhere to this discount policy. And if they exceed it, their commissions should be reduced by the company, right? So please be mindful about that. And account managers frequently visit supermarkets to check the placement of piping's products on the shelves. So we are dealing with supermarkets as well. So product placement is a major deal when dealing with supermarkets. So we have to make sure, our account managers have to make sure that our products are displayed in the appropriate places, so that our consumers keep on purchasing, or so that our consumers are aware about our product placements and keep purchasing our products. Supermarket shelf space is always limited, and the extent and location of products on the shelves can have a significant impact on sales. Yes, supermarkets tend to place brands that offer them high or higher margins in the best in-store positions. So supermarkets prefer companies which offer them higher margins. They would get the best slots. The popularity of the brand among consumers is also another key factor, and this can work favorably for piping because we have a legacy of 170 years. Our brand has a legacy of 170 years. Nevertheless, piping should ensure that it offers sufficient margins to retailers so that it can get the best in-store positions for its tea brands. So when dealing with normal retailers, you need not be too concerned about it. However, when dealing with supermarkets, you have to offer them better margins so that your products are placed appropriately. Piping's marketing and distribution department keeps close contact with customers to ensure that its teas remain popular. So that's another positive thing happening within the company. because we are trying to make sure that we listen to our customers as much as possible. The company makes several varieties of tea, each of which aims to attract its own specific niche of tea drinkers. So we are catering to even niche markets, and this is good for our brand reputation as well as to maintain our market dominance or maintain our position as the market leader. For example, piping strong flavor was developed 5 years ago because of feedback from a sizable minority of consumers who were using 2 bags per cup to get the strength of flavor that they wished. Piping tea blenders developed a new blend that could deliver a stronger flavor from a single tea bag, and so created a popular new product. So again, it shows that we are listening to our customers, we are innovative as a company, and we are involved with changing market dynamics within Northlandia, and all these things are extremely positive. So at your exam, please be prepared to face a question or a scenario pertaining to new product development. Okay. Piping's marketing and distribution department also has a small team of sales managers who seek to expand Piping's export sales. So in order to handle our export sales, we have a separate set of individuals, sales managers, who are involved with export related sales. Although the company's brand image is strongly associated with Northlandia, so although our brand is well known within Northlandia, we still export our produce. There are nevertheless some other countries in which piping brands are popular. There are also several countries where retailers sell piping tea to meet the demand from local communities of Northlandian expatriates. So definitely these things are opportunities. So there could be a possible exam scenario where we are exporting to a new market, and this, when exporting, this can be under the piping brand or under a new brand with a more local appeal to the export market. Because as I've mentioned in video number 1, as part of the industry analysis, um, uh, the examiner mentions that there's a high level of cultural significance for tea drinking, and different cultures consume tea in different ways. So for instance, if you look at the Chinese, they are hell-bent on consuming green tea, but when you look at the Europeans are focused on consuming dark tea or black tea. So when, establishing our brand, or when exporting our brand to international markets, definitely we need to look at the tea culture within the country. We need to look at customer preferences, and based on that, we might have to come up with a new brand, or else we can go with our own brand, which is piping. Right. And last but not least, I'm going to talk about social responsibility. Stakeholders expect higher standards of social responsibility from large listed companies such as piping. So please be mindful about it. Most tea plantations are located in developing countries, which has led to some controversy over the rate of pay and the working conditions imposed on plantation workers. So this highlights a possible exam scenario where piping is being criticized for purchasing tea from such plantations. Okay. Most tea manufacturers buy tea leaves from auctions, and so the company has very little direct contact with plantations themselves. So I highlighted this point earlier as well. As a tea manufacturer, you can't purchase directly from the plantations or the factories, tea factories. Instead, you have to purchase from an auction. So because of that, we don't have any direct contact with the plantation sector of the country from which we are purchasing. So tea manufacturers such as piping cannot directly scrutinize the ethical standards or impose such commitments on suppliers or tea plantations. In the event of any allegations against piping, communication will be key in ensuring that the aforesaid practical issues are also made clear to the stakeholders. So let's assume there's a scenario where we end up purchasing tea from a certain supplier, and it's publicized that we had purchased tea from an unethical supplier, or a supplier which exploits its labor. So when this is publicized, it's bad for our reputation. However, when carrying out communications, when trying to carry out firefighting, we have to communicate to the public the fact that we don't directly deal with plantations. Instead, we purchase from auction houses. So because of that, we cannot keep tabs about what's actually happening within the plantation sector. Having said that, in order to mitigate these issues, piping is involved with various different means of achieving social responsibility. So let's try to figure out what piping is up to when it comes to achieving social responsibility. Piping supports a number of local charities and other initiatives in tea growing countries that are intended to encourage plantation owners to treat their workers fairly. So that's something good to have. Good CSR practices in play, and that's a strength. We can use it for better brand reputation as well. Piping's manufacturing processes are designed to use resources efficiently and with the minimum of waste. So that's all good for the environment as well as our cost, because we are minimizing waste. We are trying to increase efficiency. Products are designed to eliminate waste, and all packaging is recyclable. So all good. We are environmentally sound as a company, and piping tea bags and loose tea leaves can be recycled by consumers. The paper in tea bags are biodegradable. So everything looks good with regards to social responsibility. So I've mentioned that there are good sustainability practices adopted by the company, which is a considerable strength. In an overall sense, piping's CSR and sustainability practices can be deemed to be satisfactory. All right, so that brings us to the end of today's webinar. Let me go back to our the slides which we are using. So if you have any questions, you can raise them now. Any questions, folks? All right, seems like there aren't any questions. So before I conclude, these are the ways in which you can contact us. You can contact us via our website. Simply drop us a message via our website. You can email us or WhatsApp us, or you can follow us on our social media handles. And especially, I would suggest that you read the blog posts because these blog posts highlight the technical nitty-gritties or the technicalities when it comes to attempting a case study examination of CIMA. So please go through these things. The blog posts are part and parcel of our website. So please go through our website, then you would understand what I'm talking about. Then let me take you to the website. So because certain students had mentioned that they found it hard to find the free content. It's not too hard to find the free content. So let me take you to the website. I'm experiencing technical difficulties. Give me a second, please, guys. All right. So this is the website. Just go to the MCS tab, and in it, it says click here to access free content. So, I would suggest that you register yourself. Just click on this and the registration process starts. And if you gain access to our free content, you would have access to a mini mock as well as a suggested answer and 2 pre-scene analysis videos. Okay, this video as well as the industry analysis which I've conducted and uploaded already. So that's that. Having said that, let me conclude this webinar. Thank you very much for joining in. I invite you to be part and parcel of the third and final webinar, where I'll be taking you through a mini mock and the suggested answer, and it's dedicated to teach you guys about answering technique. Thank you very much for joining in. I'll see you guys next week. Good night and take care.
Thank you. Good night.
Welcome. Good night.
Right.